1. The watch. The teacher was explaining the lesson to the students, so one of the students said to him that his new watch had been stolen and that he searched for it a lot and did not find it. The teacher asked all the children to stand in one row and asked them to close their eyes to check them. The child who stole the watch was afraid that he would be arrested. The teacher checked the child, and when he put his hand in his pocket, he found the watch, so he took it and completed checking the rest of the students. After the teacher finished, he asked the students to return to their seats. The child was terrified and thought that the teacher would expose him and teach him a harsh lesson in front of the students. But the teacher asked the owner of the watch to come and take his watch, and the teacher did not disclose the student who stole the watch. Years passed. In the length of the school years, the teacher did not rebuke the student. The child graduated from school and graduated from the university. After many years, he met his teacher at a social event, so he went to say hello to him, but the teacher did not remember him. The young man said to the teacher, "How do you not remember me? I am the one who stole the watch from my schoolmate several years ago, and when you checked all the children, you asked us to close our eyes so as not to reveal my matter. Today I wanted to thank you. Since that day I did not steal again." The teacher said, "Of course, my son, I remember this incident on that day. I asked all the students to close their eyes so that the future of the student who did that would not be lost. But what you don't know is that I check you with my eyes closed also so that I wouldn't have a bad feeling towards the student who did that, but today I knew of you that you did that. And what really made me happy is that you stopped stealing and succeeded in your life." 2. The good word. One day there was a skinny boy selling pens in the metro. The boy was very poor, and he begged people to buy from him. One day a businessman gave him $1 in exchange for a pen. The child forgot to give him the pen, so the man got off the metro without asking the child for the pen. Shortly after, the boy hurried to catch up with the man and gave him some pens, then said to him, "I'm sorry, sir, I forgot to give you the pen because the metro is crowded today and there were many people." The man said, "Don't be sorry, you're a businessman like me. And what happened to you today happens to me a lot." Many years passed, and at one of the luxury social events, a young man approached the businessman and said to him, "I want to remind you of myself. I am the child who sold you pens several years ago. And today I have become a rich businessman, and the credit goes to you when you returned my appreciation and respect when you told me that I was a businessman." 3. The child. In one of the developing countries, the Minister of Education decided to visit a government school in a poor village. On the way, the minister's car broke down. So he went down to examine the cause of the malfunction. Meanwhile, a small child passed by and asked the man if he wanted any help. "Minister, do you understand car mechanics?" Child: "My father works as a mechanic, and sometimes I work with him in the workshop. Let me look at the car, I can fix it for you." The minister agreed, so the child asked him for some tools to start work. And he began to discover the defect and repair the car. The minister was watching him in amazement, and after the child finished, he asked the man to start the car's engine. The car was running again as if it had no defect. The minister thanked the child a lot and asked him why he didn't go to school. Child: "The minister will visit the school today. And because I am the stupidest child in the class, the teacher told me not to come today and stay at home so that the minister does not see me." The minister was very sad and asked the child to get in the car with him. Then they went to school. The director and all the children and teachers were surprised when they found this child in the minister's car. The minister presented a certificate of appreciation to the child, and in this way, he restored his dignity and self-confidence in front of everyone. 4. The daughter. In one of the Arab countries, there was a father whose wife died after giving him 5 daughters. The father wanted to marry his daughters to good men in order to reassure them. But the eldest daughter refused to marry until she lives with her father and took care of him. The 4 daughters got married, and the eldest daughter lived with her father to serve him. The years passed, and the father passed away, and before he died, he recommended his daughters not to sell the house until their older sister married. The 4 daughters refused to carry out their father's will and decided to sell the house and divide the inheritance among them without taking care of their older sister's feelings, which sacrificed her happiness for their happiness. The older sister was very afraid because she did not know where she would go and what she would do if the house was sold. She begged her sisters a lot not to sell the house, but they refused and sold the house and took their share without thinking about the fate of their older sister. The older sister took her share of the house, and she had to leave the house within a week. The girl contacted the man who bought the house and said to him, "Please give me a month to find the right place." The man agreed when he knew her story and let her stay at home for 1 month. A month passed and the new owner of the house came to the older sister. And as soon as the girl saw him, she felt great fear because she was still looking for a suitable place, and she thought that the man came to ask her to leave the house, but the opposite happened. Where the man gave her a house waiver paper, saying to her, "This paper is your dowry. If you accept me to be your husband, we will live together in this house. If you refuse, I will go back to where I came from, and in all cases, you will live in your house." The girl cried with joy and agreed to marry this rich merchant, who was a pious and kind man. And the girl lived with her husband a life full of love and happiness in her father's house. 5. The poor farmer. In the past, a poor man came to a simple village and asked for food from the villagers. Some villagers treated the poor man badly, expelled him from their homes and did not provide him with food, while others gave him spoiled food. It was very cold, and the poor man in the street alone was suffering from cold and hunger. At these times a simple farmer saw the poor man and offered him to enter his hut. The poor man entered the hut with the farmer, and the farmer's wife prepared food for the guest. After the man had eaten, he thanked the farmer a lot for his hospitality and left them in peace. The next day, the king invited all the inhabitants of this village to dinner in the royal palace. When the villagers came at night, they found 2 tables of food, one with spoiled food, and another table with the most delicious food in the world. The king appeared, sat at the table full of delicious foods and invited the poor farmer and his wife to eat with him. Then ordered the rest of the villagers to sit at the table full of spoiled food and forced them to eat from this food. The king was the same poor person that the whole population refused to help and feed. As a result, the residents' punishment was to taste the same food they offered him. As for the farmer and his wife, they treated him with kindness, so they sat down to dine with His Majesty personally. 6. Chen's story. This is a true story that happened in China, where 7-year-old Chinese boy Chen developed cancer and his 43-year-old mother developed kidney failure. The child's health condition worsened, and the doctor told his parents that it was only a matter of time and their son would die. The child learned about this and asked the doctor to donate his kidney to his mother. The mother categorically refused. She had hoped that her son would be cured of this dreaded disease. Unfortunately, the child's condition deteriorated, he became paralyzed, and he was on the verge of a coma. During that, the child cried hysterically so that they would agree to transfer his kidney to his mother. The doctor pressured the mother to agree to her son's request because he would die within hours. The test was hard for the mother, but she saw that having a part of her son in her body would compensate her for his absence, so the mother agreed, hugged her son and cried. Chen died, and his kidney was transferred to his sick mother. The mother was surprised that her son donated his other kidney to a woman with kidney failure and donated part of his liver to a young patient who needs a liver transplant. The child recommended the doctor to do everything he told him. The child's mother broke down in tears and agreed to implement her son's will. Indeed, his organs were transferred, and the 3 operations were successful. Chen died at the age of 7, but he gave life to 3 people: his mother, a woman who needed a kidney, and a young man who needed a liver.
7. 3 Thieves. This is a true story that happened in 1964 when 3 thieves attacked Karl Lach's house to rob him, and as soon as Karl saw the thieves, he killed them all with his rifle. The thieves' family filed a case against Karl, accusing him of killing them deliberately, not in self-defense. The investigation into the case was still ongoing, and it turned out that the 3 thieves were brothers and lived next to Karl's house, and there were many quarrels between Karl and the thieves. One of the thieves' relatives said that Karl invited them to dinner and then carried out his crime under the pretext that they came to steal him. Karl felt that things would turn against him, so he ran away and no one knew his whereabouts. The police searched for him a lot, but they did not find him. But do you know where he disappeared? Carl hid in the same house in which he lived. But he lived in a small basement that did not exceed 2 meters in size and told his wife that he would disappear permanently and did not appear again to the world for fear of execution. The wife kept the secret and did not tell anything to her children so that the news would not leak to the neighbors. Carl's wife died, and the children grew up believing that their father was dead. The years passed, and the son sold the house, and during this period, Carl was still living in the basement. He lived in the basement for 37 years, and 3 different families lived in the house and did not feel his presence. Every night, Carl would go out of the basement to get food and water and come back to hide in the basement. Carl had asthma because of his old age and could not bear the dust in the basement anymore. So he sneezed and coughed a lot. The new residents of the house heard him and informed the police immediately. The police came, followed the voice until they found him and asked him about his identity and why he was in this place. He told them, "My name is Carl Locke. I have been living in this basement for 37 years. And he told them why he disappeared and swore to them a lot that he is innocent. The officer searched this case and found that the case ended with Carl's innocence of the murder charge because of the testimony of the thief's mother, who testified that her sons went to Carl's house to rob him.
8. The stone. The story tells that a businessman was driving his new car at night. The car collided with a large stone that was placed in the middle of the road. The man got very angry and got out of the car in a hurry to see the damage done to it. The man found a frightened little boy standing by the stone, so he grabbed him and angrily said, "Why did you do that? Do you know how much this car costs?" The child cried and said to him, "Sorry, sir, I have been standing for 2 hours and no car has stopped for me. I tried to get their attention a lot, but no one stood to help me. Only your car that stopped because I put a stone in the road." The man asked him arrogantly, "What is the necessary thing that made you do all this?" The child pointed to a pit on the other side of the road, and when the man went to see what was inside it, he found a little boy who could not move. The child said to him, "This is my little brother, and he is unable to walk because he is paralyzed when I was walking with him in the dark. The wheelchair fell into the pit. I tried to get him out of the pit in all ways, but I could not." After that, the child begged the man to get his brother out of the pit. The man's heart was touched and took the paralyzed child out of the pit, put him in the wheelchair, and then took out a handkerchief from his pocket to heal the wounds of the child. The child thanked him and apologized to him, saying, "Now, sir, what are you going to do to me because of the harm I caused to the car?" The man said to him, "Do not apologize, my little one. I am the one who should apologize to you. As for the car, I did not repair it. This damage will remain a souvenir so that I always remember to offer a helping hand to people."